to every employee to the city of Houston, as well as to retirees, that this is a very good plan as we move forward, and I hope that they will support it.
All right. Is
We
the plane online
the
yet?
possibility of expanding the civility ordinance to the entire city. What are your main concerns? You mentioned, for instance, perhaps potential losses in terms of funding from the federal government, from HUD specifically. Mr. Lewis alluded to potential lawsuits of some type as well. Can you address that?
Well, I think number one, all of these communities want the same thing. They want a healthy community. They don't want people lying in the sidewalks or on the even off the sidewalks. They don't want a lot of transits, people or street people who smoking kush and being in their neighborhoods. I understand all of that. They want safe, respectful communities, neighborhoods, and that's the case whether you're in near North Houston or if you're in West Houston or on the east side or far northwest, or northeast. That's the case. And so we'll work to do that. And and so today, one of the tools that we have on the books is a civility ordinance, and we voted to do that. But if you try to criminalize the homeless, let's say just in general, then we're gonna number one, we shouldn't criminalize the homeless. That's number one. We need to fully assess what every person's needs are, whether they're mental behavioral issues, and provide remedies or address those needs. If it's financial, then we need to address those concerns. If it's substance abuse, we need to address those concerns. That's the more holistic, comprehensive solution that we need to work with. We need to partner with the faith-based community, nonprofits, and others to address the concerns holistically. I think people would like to see, for example, a citywide civility ordinance. Okay, put in a citywide civility ordinance. Enforcement is a key component, and we have 5,300 police officers that's having to do a whole lot. So we're going to work to enhance the quality of life in every neighborhood, in every community. And just to say that you have a civility ordinance and someone doesn't, it doesn't mean that we're going to be looking over on one end of the city and overlooking another. We're going to address the needs in this city, regardless of where they are. No respect of communities, no respect of persons. Everyone deserves the same thing, and that's what we're going to strive to do. A civility ordinance or no civility ordinance.
But what makes you think that a citywide ordinance of that kind could be perceived as criminalizing homeless?
Well, I think it's in the perception of HUD and others. If they conclude or if they think that we are trying to criminalize the homeless, okay, then that's the perception that we have to deal with. So it's just like, for example, when I did move on the Fountain View project, and HUD wants to come and see, okay, were you exercising discriminatory intent? It's in the perception is something you still have to deal with, whether that's the intent or not the intent. But a large part it depends on who's interpreting your actions. And the same thing here. I think some of the regs and some of the provisions of HUD says that if they view a city trying to criminalize the homeless, you are subject to losing your federal dollars. We just need to be mindful of it. That's the only point. Okay.
Mayor, can you talk a little bit more about the, just follow up on the evidence room sprinklers? Can you just talk about how you found out and how concerned you are about the possibility of some evidence?
It came to my attention early this morning, and what I was told is that the sprinkler system malfunctioned at about 2 p.m. on yesterday, and it came down like a side of the freezer. This is the property room of HPD. They immediately responded to it, shut it off, but now they're doing a full assessment just to make sure to see whether or not there was any contamination or any of the evidence was compromised. Better to do it than to act like, okay, the sprinkler broke, malfunction, everything is fine. There's two, this is the property room, and I think it just makes good sense to do a full assessment to make sure that we are checking to see whether or not anything was compromised or contaminated, And if so, we just need to be out front and transparent. And that's going to take about maybe about a week's time to make that full assessment. But that's what I expect for them to do. That's what they will do. And if anything was compromised or contaminated, we need to be out front and let people know. So leaning on the side of being on caution, we did notify the DA's office and the Forensic Science Center, and they're doing their assessment now. But we're not just going, okay, it happened, it looks like everything was fine, and just move on. Let's just put it out. Let's make sure we contact everybody, let everybody do their assessment, and if by chance something was compromised or contaminated, then let's just be out front with it.
Our colleagues working on a story related to the bids on a pedestrian and bike bridge in Mason Park, a hiking bike trail connection.
Yes.
Came in, sounds like significantly
1.4.
over budget. You know,
1.4 million overrun.
are you concerned that, you know, rising costs could limit our ability to do some of these trail connections or to implement the bike plan more generally?
No, I don't think it's going to impact the bike plan at all. The Parks Board is managing that project as part of the Bayou Green project, where, you know, we put up, I think, some bond money, and then you have the Parks Board with generous donors that have also contributed. You know, on some of these projects, from time to time, you will have cost overruns. This one is, I think it's about 1.4 million in terms of cost overruns. I don't think that's going to slow down anything. The bike plan is still being thoroughly reviewed, and that's separate, kind of like separate and apart. So that's been thoroughly reviewed. We do need more bike lanes in this city. I'm committed to more bike lanes in this city. So we're moving forward on that end. Hopefully, you know, the cost overrun on this project, will be checked, and this project will move, will move forward. But that's the responsibility of the Parks Board, and won't have any bearing on